So, new season, yay or nay for you guys? Like, just like quality-wise.
It's
so far.
awesome.
I haven't really seen enough to judge it, but like as far as sequels go, great. We got some strong stuff there that I'm excited for. Haven't actually seen it yet though.
Feel you. So far, every show I've watched, I've enjoyed. Like, I'm super hyped about this season because I didn't expect it to be like really good. Well, I mean, I had some hopes, but like so far, like everything I've watched, I'm like, damn, this could be like a really good show. So I'm pretty freaking hyped. What have you guys seen exactly?
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say that everything I've seen has been a really good show, but there's nothing where I've been like, I want to stop watching this right now. Everything has been on the upper side of mediocre or better. Like, I think Two-Car is the worst thing I've seen so far, and that was still really watchable. So yeah, I saw Two-Car, Black Clover, Anime-Gatari, Evil or Live, and I think that's it.
Sweet deal.
See, I have had no idea how to pronounce that show. I was like, is it Live or is it Live?
Same. Don't take my word for it.
So I was like, oh, let me look up the Japanese name, and I could not find anything. And I was like, oh, okay, Evil or Live it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you basically watched everything that I watched.
Yeah, I noticed that we had total overlap on what we've watched.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm
we
glad
can
I'm
argue
the one
about it.
who went the opposite route.
Yeah, this podcast is going to be Bryant and Alex arguing while Matt just sifts around in his locker.
There we go. Just hang out in my locker. It's comfortable.
Hang out in your locker.
I don't have to worry about anyone.
Did we not
being
let you
sad.
out after last time?
Shh. I like it here now. This is my home. I have like a widescreen TV in here. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a portal to a fantasy world in that
Great.
locker.
Of course it is.
There you go. We're gonna meet with a lion, a witch, and a wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot their names. That's the only reason I went with that. Fuck, I completely forgot. Asgard. That's his name.
Aslan.
Was it? I
Yep.
don't know.
Asgard is the Norse, some kind of afterlife, I think.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, I've seen the first episode of season 2 of Kekkai Sensen.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Anime-Gataris along with you guys, and I've also seen, what was the third show I watched? My Little Sister something.
A Little Sister's All You Need.
Oh,
A Little
God.
Sister's All You Need. Which
I've heard things.
It's actually pretty incredible. It is the first like 2 minutes of the show. You're like, what the actual fuck is going on? And then it does like a cool 180 thing where it's like, just fucking with you. And it's like, okay, like good. As long as it knows it was joking, like that's what was important.
So, like, what is this show? What kind of 180 does it do?
Okay, so basically it starts off as porn, like legit just porn. Like the
Neat.
guy's laying on his bed and the girl starts off saying, "Hi, I'm his 14-year-old sister. Wake up, Oni-chan." She's completely nude, and then she makes out with him to make sure he gets up out of bed. Mm-hmm. And then like for some it's like made an omelet out of her breast milk and all this weird shit. It's
Nice.
like, what the fuck is going on? And then all of a sudden the scene cuts back and you just see this guy like sitting there reading the manuscript, and it's like the guy's editor. He's like, there's no fucking way I can approve this. You know that, right? It's just a case of like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Like, there's no way I can approve of this. He's like, oh no, like, did you not understand the jokes? I'm like, no, I got them. I understand where you're going with this, but no. It ends up being a story about writers who are writing manga. Now it's not like the best. Like after that, it kind of goes back downhill a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like I'd hoped that it'd be more on the jokes about the industry, and it went kind of like all writers. So like basically it turned into like a group of writers, and like one of the girls is like madly in love with him. And, you know, stereotypical stuff, but it's pretty funny. Like the main character has like a huge siscon thing, and then he has a trapped brother.
Yeah,
which is kind of an interesting twist. It's so far it's funny as shit. Like I was laughing my ass off through most of it. I thought it was pretty well done.
that does sound pretty good.
Yeah, I just love the whole twist of like you're watching this shit. Like, why am I watching? Like I was about to turn it off, and then it just cuts out. And he's like, I can't approve of this. Mm-hmm. Like no, like God bless. It's self-aware. It needed that really bad.
Yeah, I feel like self-aware is a little bit overrated, but like when it's done well, I really love it. So.
No, I agree. I think the show did it pretty well for its point.
Like, Digi did that whole video, like, anime's getting lazy with its meta. I don't know. I feel like he had a really good point there, but...
No, I agree with you. So, anyway, you guys are talking about Two-Car. What is Two-Car? I need
Alex,
to know
what is Two-Car? I'm not really sure I understood.
It's a show about these...
Two cars.
Yeah, it's a show about two cars, and they race, and that's it. The end.
They
there was only one episode.
There's a giant tomato armada from space.
See, the problem is that I haven't even seen any art for this, so you guys might just be telling the complete truth right now, and I have no fucking clue.
It's called Two Cars.
It's all about two cars in space,
and
they're brothers.
Alex, what is Two Car about?
Okay, so Two Car, it's about these. What is it, like sidecar racing?
Sidecar racing, yeah, like luge but with cars.
Yeah,
two people.
So it's about these two girls who... two girls, one car. So they say that they're like nothing alike, but they're completely alike. And yeah, so then the show is about... At least the first episode that I saw was like... First of all, the first 5 or 6 minutes were like exclusively character introductions. And it was very bland. And then the race happens, and they did a weird thing where, like, they cut to flashbacks in the middle of the race, and I got kind of confused as to what was... Like, I figured it out eventually, but, like, the way they cut from race to flashback was kind of weird.
Yeah. I liked it, but you're right, it was super confusing.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, it was... Like, I wouldn't say it was great, but I wouldn't say it was bad. It was passable, I guess. Like, I think the character... like. They gave you an idea of who, like, a basic idea of, like, who the characters were in that specific race they were doing, like, what their personalities were, but I feel like they went way overboard with, hey, let's introduce all of these characters at once.
Yeah,
are they all going to be relevant? Yeah. So it's like, are they all going to be relevant characters? Are they just for this one exhibition? Episode. What? Yeah. So, yeah, it felt like it was trying to do too much with the runtime it had. The protagonists didn't particularly stand out to me in this episode. I don't think I'm going to continue with it just because I don't think it did enough. But what did you think, Bryant?
Well, like I was saying, I think before the podcast started, this is the worst of the 4 shows that I've watched so far this season. But it's still really watchable. Like, the compositing is terrible, but... Because all the CGI motorcycles and the way they just kind of like slide across the road. That's really funny. But no, I liked the character dynamic, even if it was a little bit standard. The characters themselves kind of fell flat, but I mean, it's episode 1. No, I mean, it's not something that I'm going to keep watching, but it's not something that I feel like I wasted my time on.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, so, like, yeah, I have really high hopes for this season. Because if the worst show that I watched this season is on the upper side of mediocre, then that's a really, really good season. Granted, there's a lot more shit to watch. So.
Yeah, we still have a lot to cut through. Like, I mean, I was bad. I was planning on watching like 6 to 8 shows this week, and I got 3 barely.
All of them.
I'm really glad I'm not in that podcast. I'm just gonna say that much. For this podcast, we only had to watch 3, but for the other podcast, for Jeff's, all of them. You guys have fun with that. Fuck that shit. I ain't about that life.
That's probably smart.
Let's see what else.
So I described Two Car. What about you, Bryant? We had some other layover in our picks, so you describe one of the other ones.
How did you feel about Black Clover?
I'm a shonen boy, so I was really hoping this series would surprise me.
I also hoped it was good!
I love how Crunchyroll described it as, like, the new king of shonen. That was one of their things on their website, and I was like, no...
I also thought that was stupid! Because the show's not all that good!
Yeah, I see what you're doing there with the yelling.
No, the yelling just fucking killed it for me. Like, the thing about Black Clover is I was super interested in the world. Like, the world building was pretty cool for me, even if it was a bit sparse in the first episode. I'm a sucker for, like, teenagers getting magic powers, but it's just so standard shonen. You know what I mean?
To me, just saying it's a standard shonen isn't necessarily a negative. Like, right. I'm a fan of the shonen archetypes, but this one feels like, to me, it feels worse than the standard shonen. Like, right. I don't want to say it was, like, the worst shonen out there, because I haven't seen enough of it yet. Mm-hmm. But the first episode, like, the character introductions are basically just handed to you. Like, it's kind of exposited what these characters are about and how they came to be.
I wanna be the Wizard King!
Yeah, like the
Speaking of Wizard King?
What really threw me off, especially about his constant yelling, was that it didn't even... Like, I know anime has this over-the-top yelling thing that they'll do, but at least, like, with the context of the characters, it'll sound like something they would do. Right. With him, it sounded incredibly forced. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just me nitpicking, but...
Yeah, it sounded really bad. What I was hoping they were going for was, like, really playing up the absurdity of this character and how overzealous he is, so that we could really use him as a point of contrast for all of the other characters. And that the show would really be about them. Like, it doesn't look like it's going that route, because now he has his super special secret demon power. But, like, that would have been kind of cool if we had this overzealous kid with a ridiculous dream that he can't achieve, while his brother or his friend or whatever he is the actual natural-born genius. So just using Asta as a lens through which to view the other characters would have been cool. But it looks like it's just another shonen series. Which, again, isn't bad. It's just that it's not good.
It could have been more, basically, is what you're trying to say.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it despite Asta's ridiculous yelling.
And also the fact, like, the joke of him wanting to marry the
nun.
Yeah, like...
Yeah.
It was... I didn't find it funny the first time, but okay, I can let you have that one. You want to do it a second time? Sure. 5, 6, 7 times later, it gets really old.
Have you?
And in just 2 episodes.
Did you watch? Okay, you watched the second episode because I only remember them doing it once.
1 episode or 2 episodes? Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they do it a lot in the first episode, but then in the second episode, there's like a flashback backstory thing, and in that flashback, he does it again multiple times, and I get it, but like, get over it, dude.
She's a nun. Nun-zoned. But no, Black Clover was pretty alright. I'll probably watch the second and third episodes, but I doubt I'll make it past that.
Yeah, I'm eventually probably going to read the manga, because I do a podcast reading shonen manga, but like with the anime, I think I'm just going to drop it. I don't know if I'll even watch the third episode, because this doesn't seem like it's going to go in a direction I'm happy with. So I'd rather just read the manga where I can breeze through it, and then bleach it, so I can burn it, and hide it, stash it away so no one can ever read it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds fine.
I'm kind of glad I didn't waste my time with that show.
Yeah, I'm not thinking it's going to be something too special, so... If you don't want to waste your time with it, then I wouldn't recommend it.
Depends on how popular it becomes.
Right. I mean, like, if it's going to be the new Money series, then obviously pretend you watched all of it.
Yeah, then make 7 episodes on it.
Make 7 videos where you just say really vague things about shonen, and then pretend they're about Black Clover.
Exactly.
Like, in his quest to be...
protagonist is really strong. I think it's really well written.
Yeah. In his quest to be the special ruler of the special people, protagonist doesn't have any powers, but in the fight where his brother is being attacked by the evil person, he develops super special powers that are better than anyone else's.
See, in a way,
they're controlled by a demon. It's called Two Shonens.
Jesus Christ. You know, you should probably look into writing manga. Just saying. I think that's a real career path for you. I'm just gonna throw that out there for you, Bryant.
Yeah, just let me learn Japanese and move to Tokyo.
There you go.
Hit up that animator dormitory project that Jeff is always promoting.
Nah, either way, since you two were talking about a show that I wasn't involved in, I'll talk about a show that you two weren't involved in.
Do it.
Kekkai Sensen Season 2.
Do it.
Oh my god. So I'm just gonna, like I said, we were talking a little bit before the podcast started. I honestly think this show will probably be the best of the season.
Even better than Sangatsu Season 2?
Ooh, it'll be close. It'll be really close. Although I haven't seen the first episode of Sangatsu yet. So, it isn't out yet, I don't think. But as of right now, Kekkai Sensen Season 2 Episode 1, like, hit the ground running. Like, the soundtrack was amazing, the pacing was great, the comedy was great, like, there was not a thing I could complain about in that episode. It was just, like, so fun and, like, a great way to, like, reintroduce us all to all the characters. And I'm like, oh my god, like, it got me so hyped watching that first episode. I was like, damn, like, this show, like, I can see this being the new My Hero Academia season
Wow.
2. It's, like, one of those, like, the first episode, like, I highly recommend. I don't know if either one of you have seen Kekkai Sensen Season 1. It's pretty strong, it's pretty well done. But, like, Season 2, like, it's just, I don't know, I feel like it came back with vengeance. Like, it is awesome.
Yeah, I had a few problems with Season 1. Like, it wasn't a super standout show to me, but I still really enjoyed it. So if you're saying Season 2, at least the first episode is even better, then I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
looking
that
forward to
was my
this.
point, is that Kekkai Sensen Season 1 was well done, like, in my opinion. I think it was pretty well-rounded, but it wasn't, like, exemplary in any particular way. But this one, I feel like they upped the game in every sort of aspect that there is with Kekkai Sensen. Like, just the introduction sequence is just, like, the funniest shit ever. I mean, it's brutal, and it's kind of dark, but it's also, like, handled in a lighthearted way. It's kind of like have you guys seen any, like, mafia shows?
No.
Nope.
Okay, well,
I mean, I
it's
saw
sort of,
Bakano, but that's not really the same thing.
yeah, it's kind of like, I feel it has that kind of feeling to it, that kind of pacing, you know, like it's a dark underworld, but they take it with a light kind of tone.
Right.
It's well done. It's like I'm looking so forward to Kekkai Sensen Season 2.
So, like, what is Kekkai Sensen? Because I've heard the name before, but I'm not really familiar with it.
The show is basically about this world, like, where New York City was, like, accidentally overlapped with like multiple dimensions.
Fun.
So there's all these
Sounds
aliens.
like actual New York City.
Yeah. Well, there's all these aliens and other kind of species that basically came to the city, and they can't leave this area. But instead of, like, the world going to shit and exploding and everyone's trying to take over the world, it's just like, all right, well, we're all fucked. We all have to live here. So they live in harmony. They work together. It's just like a normal city. And it's just kind of like, so now it's a case of just, like, these guys are basically not policemen, but they're, like, peacekeepers. So, like, when, like, something kind of outrageous happens, it's their jobs to go out and solve it. And the main character's power is, like, some people have certain powers after that happens.
Of course they do.
And his power is, like, fucking stupid as shit. It's, like, the dumbest thing ever. So he's literally, like, useless 3/4 of the time. Like, I think his power is something with his eyes, and, like, he can kind of blind people sometimes.
He can kind of blind people sometimes.
That's it, really. He's fucking useless other than that. But, like, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, all of the allies are, like, really strong, like, really powerful. So it's kind of like this mixed bag of, like, weird characters, and they all have pretty well developed personalities, and all of the crazy bullshit that happens with it.
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
It is pretty cool, at least so far. Like, I've only watched the first episode, man. Maybe the second episode it drops off like shit, but, like, I don't think so. I think they're doing a pretty solid job.
Right.
You have a fist fight with your microphone there?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, my microphone stand's been having some issues lately.
Oh,
So,
stuff.
sorry if it's picking up on the capture.
All good.
So, like, I know season 1 of Kekkai Sensen did the weird, like, it would do weird things with time, like jumping around. It reminded me of Do-Da-Da-Da, how it'll jump around. Nothing is, like, not necessarily nothing, but a lot of things aren't displayed chronologically within that given episode. Did this first episode of season 2 do the same thing, or was it more?
No, it was all chronological.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
well, I mean, it's not that Kekkai Sensen can't do that in a good way, because it didn't always do that in season 1.
I don't think I actually kind of enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed that part in season 1. I think the thing is that this is just kind of the introduction episode. Like, they're just trying to warm you up, like remind you like who all the characters are and so on. And for that, it's done an excellent job. Like, there wasn't really like any major plot points. Like, the new villain was kind of introduced in a kind of quirky way, and that's about it. Other than that, it's just it was like, okay, here's all the characters. Here's what their powers are, you know, in case you forgot.
Right.
And here's why you love them. And all right, come back for next episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it was out of sequence, but I think there is like a. Is there a time skip? Like a small, like, I mean, okay, a time skip as in like you don't know when it in reference the next part happens.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're referring to that kind of stuff, but it wasn't a case of like they were trying to flip time. It's clear that it was in the future by a little bit, but not by much.
All right.
Like,
yeah, I might put that on my plan to watch on Mal and then never get to it because whoever does.
Exactly. I always tell everybody, like, you know, oh, I'm going to put that on my list. I'm like, okay, which list, though? Are you going to put that on your quote-unquote list of anime to watch? Or are you going to put that on your actual list plan to watch? Like, because there's two lists, I always tell everybody. Oh, yeah, I'll totally get to watching My Girlfriend is a Gal. That's on my list.
Oh, yeah, you got to prioritize that.
Yeah. Totally. But yeah.
I actually probably should watch more of that, but I don't wanna.
So, how is Evil or Live? I'm pretty sure that's just a bad translation. I think that's just a case of like.
I'm pretty sure that's just a non-translation.
Yeah, like the Japanese. Like, I'm pretty sure that's probably just the name.
Yeah.
In Japanese, and they were like, "Ooh, we can do like evil or death," and they googled what's the opposite of death, and it's live.
And
okay,
it's even more opposite.
It's even backwards.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, okay, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
That's still pushing it, but I mean,
I almost didn't watch this because, well, for two reasons. One was the title; it just sounded weird, and the second thing was I looked at the poster for it, and I was like, "Oh, this looks like Dead Man Wonderland," and Dead Man Wonderland did not turn out the greatest, so I was hesitant. But then Pedro sent out a tweet and talked about how like the visuals were kind of like Shaft-ish. So I was like, okay, well maybe I'll check this out then. And then I watched the first episode and I was like, huh, this is like Dead Man Wonderland. I mean, I'm not going to make this a giant comparison, but like the tone of it and the setting, the premise, very Dead Man Wonderland-esque. I mean, there's no blood powers as far as I'm aware yet, but like the setting where kid gets taken to a prison thing, school, whatever, and then he has to survive against these abusive overlord guys. Although, like, the thing that initiates it, I guess, is a little more interesting. How the reason why these people get sent to this prison school thing is that they suffer from internet addiction. Although, just going by the first episode, the camp doesn't necessarily seem to like play into the idea of rehabbing internet addiction. It just seems to like pummel you into the ground. So I'll be interested to see where they go with that. But what did you think of it, Bryant?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I am worried that it's just going to turn into torture porn, but the idea of somebody who's in one of these unjust prison facilities working to like get Count of Monte Cristo style revenge on everyone who's wronged him, that looks kind of interesting and cool to me. The visuals are awesome.
Definitely.
I love the aesthetic, and they're really great at creating an atmosphere, except when they aren't, with that one weird tone shift.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously did it on purpose, and I think I get what they're going for, but it was still really jarring. Even so, like, the premise is interesting. I like how the characters really aren't good people, any of them. Yeah, I think, because Matt, you mentioned really liking Classroom of the Elite last season.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this show fixes all of the problems I had with Classroom of the Elite while maintaining a lot of the things that I liked about it.
Sweet.
Yeah, because it has that awesome visual element. Plus, it's clearly a show that has ideas, but it doesn't like throw those ideas in your face. I don't know. The characters are like somber and a tiny bit pretentious.
Well, I mean,
I think it's a show that has potential.
Yeah, well, here's my thing. So you were saying it's like Dead Man Wonderland, except with all the bad shit taken out of it. Because you're like, it has like the same themes and ideas. From what I remember of Dead Man's Wonderland, the thing that sucked the most about it was the characters just being morons. Like, just why'd you throw away that cell phone that exploded and almost killed us? Maybe because it was a fucking bomb. Like, did you think that one through? Like, it's just one of those shows where, like, you know, I think from the way you guys are describing it, it sounds pretty good.
I wouldn't say, like, I can see the potential for this show turning into a more Dead Man Wonderland-esque escapade, if that's the word I wanted. Because, like, I wouldn't say that it necessarily improves everything, because there are, like, there's this one purple-haired dude who gets introduced, and there's a weird scene with him, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan, nor am I a huge what's the word? The opposite of a fan.
Hater.
Detractor?
Yeah, like the implementation of like bathos, of those big tone shifts. Not my cup of tea usually, but I'm like, if you can do it well, I'm not a huge. Yeah, like that. But like with this show, it seemed more of like, because Dead Man Wonderland would do tone shifts. It would go from comedy to severity and back, but it didn't always do it with the most grace. I feel like this show, this show could definitely run the same risk. Like the one scene in episode 1 was seemed a little out of place. Although I guess you could kind of play it off as the character is just a dumbass. Like the main character is just. Well, you can tell that he had like internet addiction, because like he's like, when he wakes up in the place, he's like, I was transported to a fantasy world. Right. So that kind of played up how.
I don't think it's so much that he's a dumbass. I think what they were trying to go for was that this guy has so little outside interaction that when this other guy tells him that he'll make him a real man, he thinks, he's gonna fuck me. Therefore, he must actually be a girl. Let me grope his chest and find out. Like, I don't know.
See, that in and of itself was interesting, because if he actually was a girl, like that was just his first reaction, was like, let me check to see. Reminds me a lot of Goku, how he would just kick people's crotches to see if they were male or female. But yeah, that's a better way of describing his condition than me. Like that's what I was going for when I said dumbass, but with far less actual description.
I mean, he is a dumbass, you're right. But I think it's more that he's just completely disconnected from society.
Yes.
Because, when you were saying, like, he thought he woke up in a fantasy world, he's just watched too much anime, played too many games. Which is why he wound up in internet addiction rehab. Camp Green Lake.
Camp Green Lake, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the actual name of it?
No. But it may as well be. But yeah, the show looks good. It has a lot of potential. I can definitely see it going down, like, a really bad road, though. There are a lot of ways this could turn into a steaming pile of dog shit.
That seems interesting. Looking it up, right now it has a 6 out of 10 rating on Mal.
Seriously?
So that's not good.
Yeah, that
Two-Car had like a 6.9.
It's a 6.0 right now.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Man.
People must not agree with you guys too much. Jesus Christ. I think it might just be a lot of people having flashbacks to Dead Man Wonderland. Because fucking Dead Man.
Yeah, because that show is not a 6. Granted, Black Clover has like a 6.8, 6.9.
And my anime list like ratings aren't exactly the most.
Plus, the
accurate in the
shows
world.
aren't over yet. So.
Yeah, they're 2 episodes in.
No, I mean, I want to see what Madoka had in the ratings of the first 2 episodes.
Ooh, that would have been interesting. Yeah, because there was no manga for Madoka. It was just kind of that would have been neat. I would have liked to have seen that. So, let's see. What are some other shows we've watched? Anime-Gataris. That's something all 3 of us have watched. God bless.
Finally.
Oh.
Glad we all kind of came together on the totally not pandering to otaku's anime. I mean, it seems solid. I think the opening scene was adorable, where like the girl's just like in awe watching a mech anime, and I was like, oh
absolutely.
god, like that hit home so much to me. Like as a little kid, I was the exact same way, just in total awe watching anime. And I was like, oh my god, I can relate so much. I think it's pretty neat. Like so far, I enjoy it.
Matt, have you brought a dog to school?
Shh, my book bag. 1 second, I'm gonna go put him up. Real quick. Right back. you guys talk about Anime-Gataris, and I'll be back. I said I'll be back. I'm gonna go deal with the dog I have in my book bag.
Go hide it in your locker.
We'll watch your locker for you.
Thank you.
So yeah, Alex, what did you think of Anime-Gataris?
I thought it was okay. Like
it was okay.
I wasn't. Like I guess I wasn't expecting anything out of this because I didn't know what it was going to be. So I was pleasantly surprised. I enjoyed it more than 2-Car because like with here at least I felt like I could get an idea of who the characters were and they actually interested me. Other than
absolutely.
But I feel like not enough has happened yet. Like it's just the first episode.
What did you think about the reveal that it's about a magic beret and a talking cat and not actually about anime?
I don't. Yeah, that was certainly interesting because when the cat kind of first popped up, I was like, "Oh,
that's a talking cat."
Yeah, this seems like more than just a cat.
Yeah, I recognize the breed by now. That's a talking cat.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen any shows that like heavily feature, at least not that I can recall. Like that's sort of a I don't know. Cat. I'll just be interested to see
Ghost Stories
where they go with. Oh yeah, Ghost Stories, but that was.
That's an exception.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. The characters are cute. There's a lot of other characters that were introduced, but unlike in 2-Car, we didn't try to also focus screen time on them. Like we're just gonna wait to do that, which is better because then we can actually process what the other 2 were doing. Yeah, I like their interactions. I think there's I don't see this show being super standout, but I think it'll be an enjoyable ride all the way through. I'm looking forward to it.
I mean, it looks cute. It's something that I'm going to watch more of.
Well, I think it's just overall above average, which is what I want, sort of. Just because it's just another show that I think is above average that I'm going to enjoy. So, I'm probably just going to watch the whole show.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to another good club show, but I mean, then Magic Beret Talking Cat happened. And now I'm interested in what that is, but I'm kind of mourning the loss of my good club show.
Yeah, I have to admit, I kind of thought I was going that way too. But hey, I don't know, I'm interested.
Maybe it'll be an anime about an anime club who makes anime about an anime club. The anime.
Boom.
So Shirobako.
Yes.
I actually tried to watch Shirobako. I couldn't get into it.
Yeah, I dropped it after the first episode, which I think I was probably just expecting something out of it that it wasn't, so I should go back and watch it again.
I completed Shirobako, and I
How
loved
was it, Al? Okay.
Although I think Sakura Quest was better.
Okay, cool. Because that's also on my infinitely growing to-watch list.
Yup. I pity the fool. What are some other shows? So some other interesting ones I wanted to watch, but I didn't get around to. Ancient Magus Bride. Have you guys heard of this show yet?
No, I've heard of it. I want to watch the OVAs before I get into the anime.
Yeah, that's my main problem.
So
I was gonna watch it today, and I saw that I had to watch 3 OVAs first. I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
I mean-
not watching it today.
it's on the list.
What are some other shows that you guys saw that look interesting?
I want to watch Just Because.
Same.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah,
that?
because like it's that show we were talking about last time from the same studio as Gamers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. It just looked really like my kind of show when I saw the key art for it. And then I learned it was from the same studio as Gamers, which is perfect. So.
you're all hyped.
Mm-hmm.
Is the first episode out yet or no?
I don't
Probably
know.
not. I don't think it is. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, but overall, man, this season's looking pretty freaking solid, and I'm hyped. Like so far, I mean, because the last couple seasons, it's been like there's been a lot of memes and jokes like, "Wow, this season," when there's nothing to watch this season except for Hiraka.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's kind of been that way. I mean, I think last season was slightly better because a lot of shows really picked up towards the end.
Yeah.
But most of the shows, like starting off at the beginning of the season of last season, were all pretty slow.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think this season, like so far, the 3 shows I've watched hit the ground running, and I'm pretty hyped.
I just hope it doesn't do the opposite thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
afraid
where
of, too.
everything starts out strong and then ends badly.
That is a possibility.
Mm-hmm. Because, like, I'm not really sure I agree that most of the good shows last season started out poorly. I mean, what are some examples? People say... Like, what do people say started out poorly again?
Classroom of the... Oh, second, let me pull it up.
I
Well,
say
people-
good shows.
I thought we had said that Gamers, like some people seem to think that like the first episode of Gamers was kind of misleading.
Yeah,
Well, of course
first
it was
episode of
misleading.
Gamers.
That was the point.
Yeah, well, exactly. But then you had, I think 18 If was another one that
18
was...
If just sucked, though.
Oh, did it? I didn't watch it.
Okay,
A lot of people
fine.
say
I
it started
didn't
off
watch
weak.
past the first episode. So
Well, that's the thing.
maybe
I think
they're
a lot of people
right.
said the first couple episodes were weak. And then I think Classroom of the Elite's still solid, but the first couple episodes I think were definitely weaker than the rest.
Hmm.
But then you had stuff like Convenience Store Boyfriend, which I think is just a shitty anime in general.
Yeah,
Like, the
I don't
first
know.
couple
I kind of
episodes
like the
sucked.
first episode.
I did not like it. And then A Centaur's Life, which is just terrible all
Yeah,
around.
that also just sucked. I
I
mean,
personally felt like the last 2 seasons, like maybe there was a lot of mediocre, but there were shows that stuck with me that were like really standout. Like Spring had Skigakure,
is true.
Summer had like Gamers, and what was the other show I watched in the summer? Well, shows how standout it was. But like Sakura Quest was 2 core, that aired throughout. Mahujin Guru Guru started airing, and that's still
Guru.
going, and that's really strong.
yeah, it started
Whereas-
strong.
I mean, to be fair, this season we're only like a week or 2 or however long into it, so
Yeah.
there's not enough to really sink my teeth into. But I'm hoping that there's going to be another one of those standouts, even if
Yeah.
it's
Hmm.
lost in a sea of mediocre. I will still find it.
That is true.
Well, I mean, that's what makes standouts.
Spring also had Akashic Records of Bastard Magic.
Did you like that?
Okay, weird enough. So Akashic, I feel like this is my way of explaining Akashic Records to everybody. I feel like someone wrote the first 3 episodes. So it was a really shitty light novel artist, and then was given the project must have been given to somebody else and like try to fix this. Because after that, like after the first 3 episodes are like just total shit, the show takes this weird turn and really like from where they had started goes the best possible route they could have possibly gone with it. Like it goes from being like this really boring shit show to like, oh, well that was actually kind of interesting. Oh shit, characters are dead. Oh shit, there's interesting plot points. What happened to all the fan service? The fan service is gone. All right, what the fuck's going on? like it was one of those shows that like took a full 180, and God bless it for it. But I think it was a pretty neat twist.
Yeah, that's pretty cool because like I watched the first episode of Akashic Records, and while I was watching it, I thought like, man, this is utter garbage. This is so bad. Why do I love it? Because like I really liked the first episode of Akashic Records. Something about it just hit me right. But I stopped watching it because it wasn't good, and I didn't want to waste my time on it.
Yeah,
So
Akashic-
like if it gets better, then I might actually go back to it.
Yeah, it does. It definitely gets better. For me, at least. I kind of ended up sort of enjoying the show. Because
Alright.
the reason why is I made a satire video on it. Like, I watched the first 3 episodes, made a satire video on it, basically shitting on it. And I was like, let me see episode 4. I was like, episode 4 made like a pretty interesting twist. And like, oh, okay. then 5, 6, 7, 8, and I finished the fucking show. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, well, that was gonna end up being pretty good. Fuck. I wish I hadn't made fun of it now. Oh well. But you know, I think that's a classic example of a show starting off really weak, then managing to pull some magic bullshit off.
Yeah, I mean, magic bullshit's kind of what Akashic Records does anyway. So
Yeah, it totally is.
yeah, I love it when like I underestimate a show and then it turns out being super good. Like
I agree.
that's the kind of thing that I love being wrong about. Yep.
Yeah.
What else? What else do we want to talk about? Do we have anything else? Ooh, let's talk about March Comes in Like a Lion season 2. So Alex and I can just go.
Covering
Alex and
my
I can talk
ears.
about that all day long.
Nah.
Right, you hyped? You hyped?
I am like, okay, when I talked about like waiting for this season to have like a standout, this season already has a standout. Like, I don't think there's anything that Sangatsu can do to like realistically that it can take it and turn what already is a great show into mediocrity. So already a bit of a handicap in favor of this season is that Sangatsu season 2 is airing, and it's 2 core, so it's going to be going into winter as well. Yes.
Hyped.
But I'm going to have to...
So happy.
This one I'm going to wait. I don't think I can watch this one weekly because it just seems like one of those shows that's much better for me to binge. So I'm going to wait for a couple of episodes to come out, and then I'll catch up.
See, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like I want to watch it weekly because I don't want to hit any spoilers. That's my biggest fear with watching, because I'm like in so many different group chats about anime, and one of my group chats is like almost strictly about like these kinds of anime, like depressing ones. And I know for a fact, like if I don't watch them live, they're gonna fucking text something and like, oh my god, can you believe such and such died in last episode? I'm gonna cry. Mm-hmm. Just get spoiled the show. So I always try to keep up with shows I love for weeklies.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like, I think Kekkai Sensen is a show that I can follow weekly, because at least season 1, for the most... Like, season 1 had a very episodic structure, even though it did have an overarching plot. And I'd imagine season 2 would kind of go a similar route. Whereas, like, with Sangatsu, it's one of those, like... I was about to say feel-good shows, but it's also very depressing, so... I guess that's not the most accurate description. But, like, it's one of those shows that I can just watch and just be calm and just... I don't know, when I need to take my mind away from something else. Like, I recently... Like,
it definitely pulls you into the world. I know what you're trying to say. It's the show, like, if you... like, because when I did binge all of Sangatsu no Lion season 1, and it just, like, pulled me in and just kind of made me, like, lose where I was. Like, it was, like, 20-something episodes, if I'm not mistaken, and I watched that shit in, like, a day and a half. Like, it's just... I totally got lost, so I feel you on that.
But then, like, when you talk about, like, spoilers with it, I guess it's different because, like, just because there's a manga out, that doesn't mean that people in anime forums would be or anime chats, whatever, would be discussing it. But still, I feel like there's already the chance that I could be spoiled on it. Like My Hero Academia, there's a manga for that, and I've been spoiled on that in a couple instances. So it's like, yeah.
Same.
It's just whatever happens. Like, I was spoiled on bits of season 1 of Sangatsu, but still hit me hard when the moments happened anyway, and god dang it. The show was great.
I just also don't have any self-control. I should probably add that on there. It's less of like a suggestion, more of a fact that I know for a fact I won't be able to control myself. I'm like, let me just watch this next episode. That's why I binge so much anime. Oh, if I ever find like a halfway decent show, it's like, all right, and it's done. Like by the next week.
Yep.
Fucking like, dude, you should have seen how fast I went through Hunter x Hunter. Like, oh my god, it was sick. I was watching like 40 episodes a night.
Wow.
Something ridiculous.
That is a lot of episodes.
I think I binged it in like I think it might have been a week and a half total. And I was like still working, still making YouTube videos at the time. Mm-hmm. like I was still like full time everything. God, it was ridiculous.
See, for me, like when I quote unquote binge a show, like if I watch a 12 episode show in like a couple days or maybe a week, I'm like, yep, that was a binge. So like with Hunter x Hunter, I watched it over the course of a year. So that wasn't exactly a binge.
Yeah.
But it's weird because like even if I won't be watching a show weekly, sometimes I'm still watching my backlog weekly. It's like, well, this isn't airing, but I'll get to it when I get to it.
Right.
Like, I'm not one who is, like, I don't have a preferred style of watching anime. Like, I'm not a binger, or I'm not a weekly watcher exclusively. Like, I don't... Whatever works. Or maybe that's just every person.
I don't know. I mean, I think there's a few shows that are good to watch weekly, but I have a personal preference towards, like, the binge culture. Just because I feel like if I can binge a show, I can let it all, like, gestate in my mind at once, and I can really kind of properly, like, estimate how I feel about it.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's some shows that aren't like that. Like, one of my favorite shows is Tanaka-kun is Always Listless.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that one?
Mm-mm.
It's basically, like, a really slow-paced slice-of-life show. That was, like, whenever I was having a bad day, I'd just sit down and watch an episode of that. And it's like, such a, like, relaxed, like, calm down, like...
Mm-hmm.
Like take your anger and your anger and your like ridiculousness and just cool down, take a break, relax, and it did that for me every single time. And I think that's what made that show special for me, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think that show is an example of a show that's really good for like weekly. I was really glad I watched that show weekly. I don't know if I could have binged it because it would have felt like slow paced if I'd just binged it.
Right.
But that's just personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Do you prefer binging or do you prefer the other way around?
I mean, I feel like there are benefits to both approaches, and it kind of depends on the show. Because, like you said, if you binge watch something, then it's a lot easier to get, like, a full appreciation of what the show is and what it's doing. But watching it weekly allows you to better engage with the community. Because you get this whole sense of hype. Mm-hmm. Like, binging Hero Aka is great, but watching Hero Aka weekly and having to wait a whole week for the next episode to figure out what happens in the final exam, that's part of the experience, I think. Like, it's really hard for me to imagine binging Hero Aka again.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I think Hero Aka, like, watching it weekly was definitely a case of like a really great show to watch weekly because there was so much hype culture around it. Mm-hmm. Like every episode, you could jump on a Discord server and every fucking person had to watch the new episode already.
Yep.
Even if it only came out like 3 hours ago, and you could all talk shit. Guess what's gonna happen next? Mm-hmm. And there's the one kid who read the manga. He's like, well, I know what happens next, and everyone's like, why don't you go fuck yourself? But yeah.
Yeah, like, you can watch Hero Aka weekly, but at the same time, like, what's a show that you really shouldn't watch weekly? Like, you mentioned Tanaka-kun is Always Listless. So, something like that, something like Aria, I guess.
I think a show like Attack on Titan Season 1 would be is a good binge show. Like, I watched it weekly and I hated it, but when I went back and I binged the whole first season, I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty well done. It was
it's
a case
got
of
its
like
strong points, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know you got to give or take. I'm not telling the top 20 or anything.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Still like was well rounded. I could see where the show had good points, and for me, it made me enjoy the show much more. So I think that's an example of a show that benefits from people binging it instead of watching it weekly.
Okay.
And then there are certain shows like Death Note which really plays into the binge culture. Like the way that Death Note is structured, if you watched it weekly, I feel like that'd be agonizing. Just because you're always left on some sort of cliffhanger. There's always a big game changer, and it's like, okay, wait a week. Good luck.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? Or the Chimera Ant arc.
Yeah, that
Dubs
has
currently
to be
in it
binged.
weekly. God, I could not imagine doing that weekly. I would shoot myself. I would have dropped the show.
Yeah, 'cause I know that arc when I first watched it. I watched it over the course of a summer or something, and I was kind of on it. But then when I went back like a year or so later and just watched it in like 1 or 2 sittings, I was like, oh wow, yeah, this is actually really good.
Mm-hmm. No,
go.
like, I was also thinking about shows that, like, really compound on themselves, like, where all of the past episodes are always relevant. Like, I can't really think of an anime right now, but Game of Thrones. Trying to watch Game of Thrones weekly is kind of terrible. I mean, it's not terrible. Obviously, I do it.
Well, I have to disagree with you on that one. I think Game of Thrones is very much so like the Hiroaka of Western world.
Okay.
Because like I was watching it weekly this year, obviously, and man, it was so much fun just trying to talk with all my coworkers.
Oh yeah, like no question about that.
I think that kind of clears it up. Like, I mean, maybe if there was no like real culture around watching Game of Thrones, it would have been different. But since there was so much culture around Game of Thrones, I think it kind of made up for the fact that it was hard to watch.
It's super complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, when I first tried to watch Game of Thrones, and I didn't even try to watch it weekly at first, I just had breaks between the episodes because I was in high school doing a lot of things. But, like, for example, I forgot who Marjorie was between episodes. So, I don't know. When there are that many characters and that much stuff going on, and a lot of it is, like, complicated, high-concept political stuff, I think it's better to binge watch a show.
Well,
because you'll just keep all that information better in your head.
I think the best way to watch Game of Thrones, I know we're totally off subject now, but one of the best ways to watch Game of Thrones...
Pretend that we're talking about an anime, people. Just some anime that this applies to.
Is for season 1, you have to watch it with someone who's already seen it. Just so you can kind of like, who's that? And they can go, okay, that's the Blackfish. He's part of the Tully house. He's
and
such
he'll
and
be
such.
relevant for the rest of the show.
Totally. No, but yeah. But you know, I think that's one of those shows where it's so overly like complex the first season.
Right, there's just
that
so
you
much
have to
going
have
on.
Someone who knows further knowledge just to kind of like hold your hand through the first season, just so you can like have a higher understanding of what's going on. Because that's what happened to me, and I enjoyed the show a lot more thanks to that. And so when my friends started watching it, I did it with them, and then I was like, okay. And trust me, it's never a bad thing to rewatch season 1, because then you go,
yeah, absolutely.
Oh shit, I didn't see that last time. Oh fuck, now that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah,
Cersei
definitely.
really is a bitch. Okay, got it.
Oh yeah, she's been a bitch since the beginning.
I know.
Huh.
Either way, I think class is about to start, guys.
Is it? Wow, you're right.
Already?
Man.
Already. So I guess I will see you guys next week.
Yep, same here.
This has been Manime.
Explanation point?
And Mathways.
Neat.
Woohoo! We'll see you guys around, I guess.
Bye-bye.
Peace out.
Yeah.